Okay, so I'm recording in the morning, so there's birds and shit. I can't help like 8 o'clock, so it's waiting. I've been watching The Promise of Neverland. Having a stroke. I've been watching The Promise of Neverland. Is that what it's called? I just looked this up. I literally just looked this up. The Promised Neverland. That's what it's called. I'm not liking it. I'm just gonna say it. This is more of like a first impression. I think I've watched 3 or it's not been 3. It's been a few episodes now. I don't like it. You know why I don't like it? People said as if it was just this really cool and revolutionary low-key thing and it is great. And then I'm watching it and I'm like, this is bad. And I don't like this type of shit. Especially when people are like boasting about an anime. When I start watching an anime and all the stuff that people are just like, you'll never guess what's happening here. You're never gonna guess all the stuff that happens. And then I start like predicting every single fucking thing. And it's like, maybe it's because I've been watching anime for as long as I have. I'm only like 21. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Maybe because I've been watching anime to where it's like, okay, they're kids, they have this, there's this type of theme, it's this type of atmosphere. Like, honestly, I didn't talk about this much, so I'm going to talk about it here. Let's talk about the main characters for a second. They kind of suck, like a bit more than I thought they would. They're kind of boring, honestly. They're the main thing I can predict about this show is their actions and what they'll do and who they are. Like, it got to a point where I was just like, well, there's just no surprise, and what's the point of continuing to watch this if I'm just going to predict everything the main characters are going to do and think? I mean, obviously you have the prediction of how long the show is, previous knowledge, but even just the runtime of the show can help you predict the actions of a character. But it's to a point where it's just like, looking at the fake surprises, and I don't like doing that. Like, where I have to be like, oh my god, I didn't see that coming, and it's like, yeah, you did. You predicted that like 5 hours ago. What do you mean? What? They did that? Crazy. Wow, they're gonna do that? Insane. And I get that they set it up that way, but I'm gonna hope that the characters grow and become more interesting and complex, and don't just become, what they are now.
Yeah.
Why can't you look? The villains are boring. Hell, honestly, I'm more interested in the villains than I actually am in the main characters, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Most of the time, the main characters usually are most boring characters because they kind of have to move the plot along, and it's a whole thing. But I don't know, these are just like a different type of boring, where I'm like, I don't really like y'all. I'm not even rooting for y'all, honestly. I'm rooting for everybody but y'all. But obviously in these scenarios, I can't really do that, or it's not really good for me to be doing that, so, Not gonna lie, the other kid characters just seem kind of like they're there for the 3 main characters, and sure, everybody's not as smart as the main characters, but to be fair, that doesn't mean that they're fucking idiots either. I'm sure their skills will be shown later on, but I don't know if I can confidently say that, especially the younger ones, because if they all do escape or get out of this hellhole, because, let's be honest, you can kind of predict what's going to happen. If you haven't predicted by the numbers on their neck, their clothing, and their environment, how happy it is, they're obviously in some form of, like, cattle farm where they're going to be eaten by something. Like, I don't have to do much to understand that that's going to happen. If they're going to escape from it, what about the younger kids? Are they going to leave the younger kids behind? Are there going to be some intelligent young child, or what? Honestly, I see something happening that maybe brings a little bit more excitement or surprise happening, but when it comes to like the rest of the kids, it seems like, man, they're kind of so the main antagonist has somebody there to distract them every second. And I'm sure the world building is gonna be fucking great, but also like, I don't know. Well, I guess I just want to talk about my character predictions and how I feel about the characters so far. And again, I'm like only 3 episodes in, but I just want to shove this in the video probably at the beginning because it makes most sense. They all are giving me like Sasuke, Naruto, Sakura vibes. So also being an artist, it's like color schemes, all that type of stuff plays into anime. This is why I don't like particularly following like tutorials and shit that be like, to gather this type of feeling, whether it's like use like this color to show warmth in a person or kindness, this color represents that. When you start seeing that everywhere, when you start following that type of like what's the word I'm looking for, instruction, let's say it like that, when you start following that type of instruction, then people will just catch on. Like I'm not stupid. I'll catch on to what your character's about before I even know who they are. Before I even know their name, I already know what they're about, what type of person they are, by their ponytail and their samurai-looking face and their eyes and how they're a certain shape. I already know your character before I know your character. And that's so boring. I don't want to know that. I don't want to know what a show is going to be about or what's happening before it fucking happens. I was sitting here like Raven Baxter-esque, like predicting the future of what was going to happen before it was happening. At one point I was sitting next to my boyfriend, right? Telling him like this is what's going to happen, right? I already know it. Like, I already know what's going to happen. Like, because he's watched it or watched a good chunk of it. I think he's on season 2, I believe. And so I'm asking him what stuff is. And at one point, obviously he left. And then at one point I didn't even have to ask him. I was just like, yeah, that's going to happen. Okay, well, of course that's going to happen. And I'm just, it became to a point where we're like, if there's no, I don't want to say surprise, but there's no like interesting shit in it or anything, it's like, bro, why am I watching this? If I can tell you what's gonna happen before it's gonna happen, why am I watching this show? I don't understand. I mean, if the art style is what it is, the art style is pretty. You know, I do have a very big grudge for some reason. I don't know why my eyes just don't like this. I don't like the main character's cowlick. The gradient doesn't go up to the cowlick. It's just like the cowlick is a separate part of the hair, and then the gradient on the top of the head is just kind of separated from that. That's just a dumb pet peeve. But actually, if you want like the art style and stuff like that, it's pretty. It's really nice, and it's like, okay, what else? Characters' voices are nice. You know, when I start like trying to find things I actually like about it, it's like not a lot. Even when you try to do something that you don't normally see in animes, whether it's a trope or anything like that, or just anything, even though it may be something that's maybe not as popular, or even you made a twist on it that might be interesting or different enough to where you could even call it unique. The problem comes in when it's unique, but like it's boring. When it's like, it's boring. I can predict this kind of pretty much the same thing you just did in like a little bit of a different way. It's like, sure, you could put on your pants like everybody else, one leg at a time, but you know, you got the one guy with the button-up pants. It's like, okay, yeah, you got button-up pants, but like you're still wearing pants. Like it's not different. It's not really. It's you basically just did what I did, but you velcroed your pants together. Like it is what it is. It's like it's a little bit different, but then it wears off. It's like, bro, why are you doing that? Those are a lot of buttons. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like just, and even when it comes to the characters and how they act, especially because they're kids, the limitation is shitty. I think there's a whole thing with like having kid characters in anime. I get it. It's like a normal thing. And almost all animes have like a kid cast of characters, which is fine. Especially if it's like teenagers or like young adults. It makes more sense for that because you have a lot more to work with, especially when you're locking yourself to children, like young kids, like in The Promised Neverland. Oh, you just have so many more limitations where you have to be really good at like writing everything because you have so many limitations to where you could fuck this whole thing up. And especially when you're using the arc of, oh, you got these really smart kids for this reason, it also makes it even harder because you do have to take into consideration their skills, but also you have to take into consideration what they would already know as kids. Do you get what I'm saying? Their critical thinking skills. It's a whole thing. And most people can't even really pull that off. And so far, without even finishing the series, they're not pulling it off too well. Well, no, let me say it's decent. You know, the kids aren't too smart, but they're smart enough. Like they're smarter than they should be, but also they do make really dumb decisions. But also, you know, you always have to have like a counter smart character, and that person's an adult, and I don't say that's bad. It's just, especially when it's an adult smart character that's as smart as the kids, if not cleverer, it's like, okay, well, again, you have to work around that. And I don't know if those kids are going to be able to outsmart that person. I mean, obviously they are because it's the show, and they're not. They might, pull a, pull a regular anime and just like have all the kids die at the end. Or not regular anime, but a different anime and have all the kids die at the end. But I doubt that because it's season 2. So I assume that either they didn't die or they're survivors. And in that case, it's like, there are ways around what I'm saying. I just don't believe, from what I've seen so far, that they'd be able to execute it to where you can find an interesting way to find a way around those type of like kind of basic, irritating in some cases tropes. But maybe again, I'm being too cynical about the entire thing, and it's gonna be fire, and by the end of the anime I'm gonna be eating shoe? What's the saying? I'm gonna be mad at myself for saying anything. I'm gonna take back I'm gonna sit down, eat my food, have several seats, and take back everything I said about this anime. But so far, it's not looking good, in my opinion. It's really bad. Actually, I don't really like it. I'm gonna stick with it because I haven't watched like a horror type anime in a long time, and I don't know how much horror we're gonna get. But I don't really like watching things that tense me up a lot, especially when I'm already going through some anxiety. But like, I kind of want to finish it and see if the horror aspect is gonna keep me in or what. Because right now it's just I have to finish it because I'm kind of getting tired of like starting things, kind of already knowing how it's gonna go and then saying it's shitty and then being right. I kind of want to actually finish it so that I can be like, okay, yeah, I knew it was shitty. I predicted it already. But yeah, people are waking up and it's making me super paranoid, so I'm gonna go BB.
Just remember this. We could have been stardust, same world but without us. Something made us find each other out